to the channel. Hope you can hear me. Standing in this corner out of the way because it's a bit blustery today, so I'm hoping we're out of the wind here, so hopefully you can hear me. Had a couple of questions that I wanted to just address or answer. Very nice questions and very good answers, and that's actually information for me. I had one guy pointed out that my hay bob is not a hay bob, it's a Lillet hay made. And there's about 3 different models, and he thinks mine's a hay made, and I've checked on the internet and I think he's right, that is a hay made Lillet, so that's Lely. Yeah, I mean that's handy. That's something I didn't know. Like I said in my video, there's no tag on it or nothing. I just presumed that was a hay bob. It came out of the nettles. It was given to me for nothing. When I had that, I had no experience, so you know, I've just used it as presumed it was a hay bob. They all look very similar and they all work very similar. But no, he's right what he says, and it is a, like I say, a hay made, Lillet hay made, which is handy because now if I ever need spares for it, I've got a bit more of an idea what I'm looking for. So yeah, if I'd have needed a new cog or bearing for it and I'd just told them that I had a hay bob, they could have been the wrong size or wrong shape or not the right item. Anyway, so that was handy, so thank you for that. And I had a couple of people ask about the hay. Some say it's nice hay, others say that need to change the mix or do something with the mix of the hay. So I thought I'd explain to you how this works on this hay that I cut. Basically everything that I get for nothing. I don't pay no rent for any of the land. I don't own the hay fields. It's basically local farmers who have set aside some poor land to hay meadows through the government schemes, whatever they get. So I've tried to make sort of head or tail of some of it, and some of you will know more about it than me, and I think there's a lot of information about it on the government websites. But it seems to me like there's quite a few different mixes that go into these fields. And then after these fields are seeded, which the one I've just done and the one I'm going to be doing as soon as the weather allows, are new seeds, as in they were only seeded not last year but the year before. So last year was the first crop, and this year is the second crop. But because once they're seeded, other than the cut or the graze, and depending on what you're allowed for that particular meadow or that particular mix or scheme, you're not allowed to use chemicals. You're not allowed to spray off to get rid of stinging nettles or docks or anything like that. As far as I'm aware, you're not allowed to use fertiliser, especially not granulated modern chemical fertiliser, stuff like that. Whether you'd get away with manure and organic fertiliser, I'm not certain. I couldn't answer that question. So it's then sort of in the hands of the gods. And these meadows, the first one I cut early in the year that I can cut from July the 15th is the starting date for when I can cut. That seems to be what they call an early seed mix, which I think is for early bees, early flies, you know, insects, stuff like that. This second one we do is I think is under a summer feed mix, which get a little bit different of plants, so they flower a little bit later in the year. And again, I think they are actually for bees and insects and stuff more than they are for the birds. The ones we're going to cut later, because once we've done this 8-10 acre one over the road there, we have another 3 to do. Now they were planted with a different seed mix again. One of the plants that are in that is called blue gloss, and that's actually poisonous to grazing animals. It's like glass shards on the stems, horrible stuff. You would not want to go and put your hand around it and try and pull one out. You'd know about it. And I think that is again as a bee mix, but as a later bee mix. So it's a sort of gives the bees a chance to stock up with honey, nectar, whatever the bees are after, in order to winterise themselves, to store up for the winter, to last through the winter in the hive. But that one we have to cut, and it goes to waste, because we can't really, especially when you probably put animals on it to graze, because I should think, you know, the animals would graze round it. I don't think they'd eat it while it's standing, but once you cut it into hay and you feed it to animals, they aren't going to know what they're eating, and I think you'll find that most people would not want to see their horses eating that. I think this is, you know, I don't think this is toxically poisoned, but the glass shards and the shards and stuff on it, I don't think the horses would be very happy on it. It'll certainly give them some infections in the throat and stuff. And obviously ragwort everybody's against, and we just pull that out if we see any. Right, and then the last hayfield, which is not a hayfield, which is just another one of these flower meadow fields, it's called a winter bird mix, and that's a completely different one again. That gets cut early in the year, very, very early, March, April time, and it should also, I think, be sprung harrowed. In other words, the ground just loosened up in order to encourage the seeds that have fallen to come through. And another reason for some of the late cuts and times of the year that you cut these is, again, for the reseeding. So some of these fields self-reseed, some of them are perennial plants that just regrow every year, and some are annuals that need to seed themselves to grow every year. So that is, again, another reason for some of the dates and times that we cut these fields and stuff. But in general, we get the field I've just done and the field that we're going to do is pretty good stuff for the horses. A lot of the flowers in it, wild carrot, there's a lot of daisy, daffodil, not daffodil, sorry, daisy, the odd poppy we see, quite a lot of clover. A lot of them aren't going to hurt the horses, and if they like it they'll eat it, if they don't they'll leave it. So, you know, so at the end of the day, for a little bit of work, that's quite handy getting the hay for myself and the horses. Shame about wasting the other stuff, but that's how it is. It's for the environment. And I think the other reason that they cut them at certain times of year is a few of them might be nitrogen fixers as well, and nitrogen fixing plants, from what I've read and that, it's quite an interesting plant, but basically the nitrogen is kept in the roots of the plant, but it's not released until the plant has been cut or dies. So I presume that the reason for cutting at a certain time of year is so that the root dies back and releases the nitrogens out into the soil. So yeah, that's about what I know on it really. You know, all I can say is that I'm grateful to have sort of 3 or 4 fields that do make reasonable hay, and a couple of other fields that I just do sort of as payment to say thank you for the hay. There you have it. So I hope that helps with any interests in my hay and why I do cut so late, and why I, you know, put up with quite a lot of dock in some of the hay and that. So, alright, well, thank you for watching. Keep the comments coming. That's really nice to read them and to see people's opinion. Everything's been really positive, and they're just sensible questions. You know, so questions that I would ask someone as well. Alright, so thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.